All right. Let's get this party started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to all my people on YouTube, all my people on Twitch, Mixcloud, Facebook, welcome everyone. Twitter, should say X, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch. Did I forget anything? Facebook, Kick, Twitter. Think I named them all. So wherever you're tuning in from, welcome to the Share the Knowledge podcast, Share the Knowledge live stream. I'm your host, DJ TLM, the last Mohican. Live from Amsterdam. It is 6 p.m. right here in Amsterdam. As we're about to get started, this is my weekly Q&A show. You can ask me any DJ-related questions, and possibly I'll be able to add some value, answer the questions. Otherwise, we have the rest of the chat, because this is about us sharing knowledge, not just me sharing my personal experience. So as we welcome people in, I want to say welcome to Patricio, DJ 6, Dr. Funk Juice is here, David on LinkedIn, salute, I see you. DJ 6. Yeah, the echo is going right. I had my my speaker was on. The Mix Chemist is here. Yeah, the echo is going right. Is the echo still there? My speaker was on. Let me know. The Mix Chemist is here. Because maybe there are extra sources on. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. See, that's why we need our intros, because that allows us to see that. Before I get into anything, check. Check. Oh, it's still there. Oh, wow. Okay, that's a new one for me. Let's see. Oh, we are good? See, I always forget about the little delay that we have. I'm looking real time at the chat while I'm hitting the switches. So, okay. Patrick, what up? So, David, Patrick, Mixed Chemist, Patrick C as well. So, we got two Patricks right here. Funk Juice, Bob Carey, DJ VIP, all of you. Welcome. Chris on the mix is here as well. Welcome. Come on in. Air Adam 13. What's good? Yeah, in OBS, somehow there was a second channel open. The only channel that needs to be open right now is this right here, the Rodecaster Pro. But there was a second audio source open. That is why it's so important for the people working with OBS. You should have like separate scenes for everything. Sometimes I'll use a specific scene for a different stream, and I'll quickly add a couple of elements, but then later on I might forget that I added something, and then this stuff can happen. Tim van der Voort, yo, what's good? So before we get into any questions, and if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat whenever you have a question. I do want to also talk about some stuff that happened in the last week, because I wasn't here last week, and the last couple of things you may have heard or seen of me were videos on YouTube covering some new DJ gear. Last week we were on holidays, and last week during my holiday I had to go to my YouTube studio and press public on a video that I had created the day before, and I didn't even sleep that night because I was up editing that video all night before we could go on our holiday. And that was a video covering the release of Pioneer's Cross 12 hybrid turntable. I was fortunate enough to have a day or two with two new devices, and that was basically in the weekend before our holiday. So I had a choice. Either I would just decline and say, you know what, I'm going to go on this holiday, and as soon as I get back, we can hook up and I can take a look at those devices. But the tech nerd in me was like, you have something new. Now, mind you, I did not know what the devices were. I just knew there were two new devices. One of the two is going to be very interesting. The other one is going to be cool. So I was like, okay, let me check them out. Now, once I got to see them, I was like, okay, I have a very limited amount of time, And I spent most of that time on the Cross 12. I did not spend a lot of time on the Rev 5, even though I really like it as a controller. But you can imagine that hybrid turntable is something new. So I spent most of the day with that and then some spare time with that Rev 5. And in the next day, I had a live stream during the day, and then I had to edit at night before we left. But I was happy I did it because I got to try that gear out. And yeah, man, a lot of talk about, especially the Cross 12. So I want to talk about that first, and then we can get into that Rev 5. Or no, actually, we're going to do it the other way around. I'm going to talk about the Rev 5 first. Oh, no, chat, let me know. What should we talk about first, Cross 12 or Rev 5? I'm going to let you decide. Let me know. Because we can take it either way. And I see Patrick already ordered the Cross 12, back ordered till October. And 6, I want to talk about your comment as well, because I saw exactly the comment that you're dropping here. I saw that on YouTube, so I wanted to talk about that. Ken Ark, you said, let me see what you said. You said the Rev 5 platters are like CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, but it looked cheap like the Flex 6. No, they are not like the Flex 6. They are way, way, way more like the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. That is a clear difference. And would you rather have an S11 with CDJ 3000 or a Rev 5? That's a no-brainer for me. That would be an S11 and CDJ 3000s all day, but I don't feel it is a fair comparison. Because if you take a look at the Rev 5, and I guess you just answered my question, we're going to talk about the Rev 5 first. The Rev 5 is a mid-tier controller. So if we consider the Rev 7 the top-tier controller, even though that is motorized and the Rev 5 is not, the Rev 5 is a mid-tier controller. It's definitely not entry-level. It has way too many features to be considered entry-level. But as a mid-tier controller, you can see that there are certain things that are not as advanced as they are on a Rev 7. So if you look at a Rev 7 and you look at the mixer section, we can clearly compare that to something like an S7, S9. No, let's say S7. If you take a look at the Rev 5, that mixer section can be compared to something like an S5, S7 with a lack of features because you don't have the onboard effects. Beyond that, it is pretty similar. But if you take the S11, which is the top of the line S mixer, that is already a level up compared to the mixer section on a Rev 5. If you take a look at the CDJ 3000s, and you know me, I will always talk about the feeling. But in this case, if you compare a 3000 to a 2000, the processor is much faster as well, so the workflow is faster. But the platters, the jog wheels on a 3000 are, of course, definitely a step up compared to the jog wheels on the Rev 5, which are really comparable to the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 jog wheels. And the 3000 is a step up from the 2000. So, yes, an S11 and CDJ 3000s. Now, if we compare the price, a Rev 5 will cost you $1,100, and one CDJ 3000 is something like $2,600. So that's going to set you back like a good $5,500 for two of them. And then we have an S11. I don't even know the current price of that, but I think that should be around the 2000, something like that. So you can't really compare those two. All right, so the Rev 5. For me personally, that Rev lineup is incredible because of the layout. If you've seen my first look video, that's what I talk about. Talked about that same thing when the Rev 7 came out. Rev 5, Rev 1, Rev 7. They all have a layout that is so familiar for me and for DJs like me. Coming from the turntable era and playing battle mode style, so having your turntable sideways. And for those who are not familiar with that, you've probably seen DJs who have their turntables sideways. The reason for that is the needle and the tone arm on the left deck are going to be further away from your hand. If you have them in a normal position, then the tone arm and needle are going to be in the way of your hand. Now, you can work around that by making sure you always go over that tone arm. But if you place them sideways, now the tone arm and needle are at the top, so they're further away, which gives you more clearance, especially for turntablism. The Rev 7, Rev 5, and Rev 1 have that same layout. Now, of course, there's no tone arms to deal with, but I am used to that. So I'm used to having my pitch slider at the top. And I'm fully aware that for a lot of you who started out with controllers or maybe CDJs, that is a really weird position because you're used to having your tempo sliders on the side. So I know this is an acquired taste. For a lot of people, that Rev lineup is not the way to go because of the layout. You're already used to having your performance pads underneath your jog wheel or sometimes above, and you actually prefer that. And I've seen comments that say exactly that, like, it makes no sense, it shouldn't be there. So for you, that Rev controller layout won't work. For me, if I can play with different types of gear but have a similar layout, that's going to get me the best results. So if I have a set of turntables and a battle style mixer, so something from Pioneer, from the S line or Rain 72, Reloop Elite, you name it, that is going to be the same type of workflow. If I take my Rev 7, it's the same thing. I have the motorized platters, which basically feel like turntables, smaller platters, but still, and that mixer section that feels the same as my mixer. The Rev 5, therefore, would be my favorite non-motorized controller because of that layout. And in my first look video, I already said that I would pick the Rev 5 over a Flex 10, even though Flex 10 might have some functionality that's missing here, like the onboard effects. I love Pioneer's onboard effects, so you could think that that would be a deal breaker for me. But then again, I basically only use an echo. I use the filter and an echo. So if on that Rev 5, I will have to go into Serato and make sure I set up Serato's echo so I can trigger that, so be it. It is still post fader, so it's going to work the way I want it to work. I'll take that if that comes with that entire layout. Now, when it comes to the Rev 5 and their stems feature, the feature is in the software, but the fact that they have dedicated stems buttons, that's a dope addition. We're going to see more of that on newer devices. I have to stop for a second. We have the boy genius coming through with that raid. So I want to send a shout out to you and welcome to all of you coming in right now. If you're not familiar, my name is DJ TLM. You just jumped into Share the Knowledge. This is our DJ Q&A. So if you have any DJ related questions, drop them in the chat and me, myself, or someone in the chat might be able to add some value, help you out. Otherwise, just come in. We're talking shop. That's what we're doing right now. I'm talking about the release of Pioneer's new mid-tier controller, battle style controller, the Rev 5. I dropped the first look video today, and we were talking about that. So one more time, Boy Genius, much love. Make sure you follow Boy Genius. I appreciate that raid to the fullest. G-Funk 420, I see you. Boy Genius, I see you. Damon Chicago in the building. Everyone else in the building, salute, salute, salute. Eris Ramirez, salute, all the way from Belize. So, and I see a question here as well. And the question is, why do you think Pioneer left phono inputs of the Rev off of the Rev 5? I think this is where you see the difference between the top tier, like the Rev 7, or mid tier. They're going to have to cut costs in different places. So no onboard effects and indeed no inputs for your channels. There is an auxiliary input, so you can add an extra device, but you can't add turntables and use it in a DVS setup. That's not going to work. So yeah, that's my only explanation right now. You have to cut costs somewhere. Now, I don't know exactly why decisions are made, but I have to assume it has to do with that. Going back to the stems feature, though, they have the dedicated stems buttons, which is very cool. because now you don't have to use your performance pads for that. But they also added some extra features, and I wasn't even able to get into all of those because I only had it for a day. And again, as I said, I had the Cross 12 and the Rev 5 here on that same day and a half, and I spent most of that time on the Cross 12. So when it came time to check out the Rev 5, I looked at the layout, I tested the feel, which is the most important thing for me, and I had to even skip certain features because I didn't feel they were enough value for me to spend my time on. They have a special like new automatic transition feature. Again, I said this in my first look video. Make sure you check out Mojax's full video because he covers everything. He has like a 25, 30-minute video up. So he covers that. I didn't cover that. But the stems, one thing I did not test and I really want to try out is the fact that they allow you to use the EQ knobs on the Rev 5 to control the volume of your separate stems. Now, if I understand that correctly, that means I can have a track playing, and by adjusting the knob, I could increase or decrease the volume of the vocal or the drums or the melody or the bass. If you're using Serato, then you have 4 stems. If you're using Record Box, then you have 3. That is something that sounds amazing. And there's also an option to even take the stem, take one stem from one deck and shift it to the other deck. It has actually some functionality that's not on the Rev 7. That's why I need it back. And now that I'm back from my holiday, I know I'm going to have the Rev 5 back here in the studio very soon so I can do a proper test. This is the main reason why I call my videos first look videos, because that's what they are. They're first impression videos. I feel you can only make call something a review if you have properly tested it, went through the features, used it in a real setting. So for instance, if I use it for a stream or two, it's going to give me a much better idea of the overall flow quality of a device. The BPM transition looks pretty good, though it was gimmicky, but after seeing Mojax's video, I can see how it can come in handy. Chris, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to work. But I don't see myself using something like that. But for some, this could definitely be an interesting feature. And Emily Lee says that's an interesting option because you can make some of those elements sound muted. Yeah. Vinyl Touch, salute to you. And wait, let's see. The Cross 12 is dope, but it shouldn't be more than $1,000. Yeah, I'm not sure when it comes to prices how a price is decided, and it's hard for me to say. So, for instance, how much does the Rain 12 cost, the Mark II? Because some people, and let's get into the Cross 12 now, and if people have more questions about the Rev 5, shoot. And I'll get into your question about releasing new products when there's a delay in delivery. I'll get into that. But the Cross 12, because there's a couple of things that I've seen over and over when it comes to the comments. I think the comment that I saw most, or one of the comments that I saw most when it came to the Cross 12, is that a lot of people say it's an RP 8000 Mark II ripoff, which is kind of confusing to me. Or people will say like, hey, that does the same thing the Reloop RP 8000 Mark II does. Let's make a clear distinction here. If you take an RP 8000 Mark II and you take a Pioneer Cross 12, if you look at them, they're both turntables. They both have some buttons on there that give you MIDI capability to trigger functions in your DJ software. As far as that goes, yes, they can do similar things. You could even say they kind of look alike. That's where the comparison stops, though, because the Cross 12 is an actual hybrid because it is a turntable and a controller. And not just something that can control a couple of functions, it can control the entire software in the decks, and you can manipulate the music in your decks. You cannot do that on the RP 8000 That's where they're completely different. Then that next comment that I saw a lot is that people will say, hey, you can take the RP8000 Mark II and phase, and then you have the same thing as the Cross 12. Combined with a comment that I saw a lot as well, and that was that the Cross 12 is a phase killer. Again, these are two different things. So if you take an RP8000 Mark II and phase, can you now control the entire DJ software, manipulate the tracks, trigger functions? 100%. Yes. So you can achieve the same thing as you can with a Cross 12. That is a fact. But it's done differently. And there are a couple of extra things you have to do when it comes to phase and the RP8000 compared to what you do with a Cross 12. First off, you have to connect extra devices. You have to also connect your phase. You have to make sure you calibrate it, check it. It's wireless. It needs to be charged. You only have a limited amount of hours, even though phase battery works great. I've done like 4, 5, 6 hours, and I still have battery to go. So not complaining there. And for anyone who's not clear with that, the RP8000 Mark II and phase is a setup that I use regularly. So it's not like I'm just comparing something I haven't used. I was streaming with it yesterday. I love that setup. But if I had the option to have a turntable in my studio, a turntable setup with 2 actual turntables that would work great with vinyl, and with the flick of a switch and just a quick add of that clamp, that Magvel clamp, and that takes a sec, I am now in full controller mode. That to me is incredible. And no, you cannot compare it to phase because that clamp, some people seem to think that it is somehow also the same thing as phase. The clamp is not sending some wireless signal anywhere. It's not doing that. The movement, the motion is controlled by the actual turntable. The clamp is used to make sure that there's a tight fit and that the movement is, let's say, translated in a tight way. You have a tight control over your platter. You put that clamp on, now you have tight control. But there's no wireless signal going to some receiver going to the software. It's just one USB cable from that Cross 12 sending everything to your computer. So it's not the same thing. Is the Cross 12 a phase killer? Not at all. I don't see how that could be. In an ideal world, I would have the Cross 12s here in the studio as my main decks. I can use them for my vinyl sets. I can use them as a controller for Serato and Rekordbox, whichever I want to choose. But as soon as I step out the house and I have a gig somewhere, I'm not bringing those turntables. I'm kind of past that time of like going around with flight cases. So unless we end up in a situation here that the venues actually have Cross 12s, which is not likely to happen, when I go to gigs, I'm going to have to play on turntables at the venue. So I will be bringing phase. Phase is going to have plenty of use, even if I would have Cross 12s. So I don't see that as a phase killer because it's not the same thing. So that's something I just noticed. Like there's a comparison that doesn't really add up. That being said, it is a lot of money. They're like $1,400 for a player. It's $13.99 if I'm not mistaken, right? The Cross 12. That's a lot of money for a device, even though it is a turntable and controller in one. And that is a much better option compared to, for instance, having a Rain 12. Rain 12 is a controller that gives you turntable emulation. It does not feel as good as that Cross 12. I can tell you that. That Cross 12 felt better to me. But you can't play vinyl on your Rain 12. With the Cross 12, you can. You just take that clamp off. And really, that takes a second. You take that clamp off, put it on the holder, and now you're back to having a regular turntable, a high-quality turntable at that. It's built like a tank. So yeah, not exactly the same thing, but I can totally imagine that for a lot of people, buying a set of RP8000 Mark IIs and phase is the way to go. And in my first look video, there's not a second in that video that you hear me say, everyone should go out and buy the Cross 12. No, not at all. I just said, to me, this is a game changer, and I'll get into that as well, because this is the missing link for me. This is what I would want in my studio. I understand that game changer might trigger some people, and I don't use that term a lot because it's used too often. With every little innovation, people call it a game changer. But to me, this is that missing link for me personally. Is it on the same level as the invention of DVS? No. DVS is like a major game changer. The first CDJs that allowed you to control your CDs with that jog wheel. Game changer. Phase. Game changer. Those are big game changers. This is on a smaller level, but for DJs like me, Cross 12 is a game changer. All right, do you think Pioneer will ever release a 4-channel controller with Rev 7 layout and CDJ 3000 platters? I don't know. No clue. DJ Dell, salute. Teddy Stream, salute. Marianne was good. And Vinyl Touch says it's interesting that they decided to have it output timecode and not be HID. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how those internals work. Let's see. Vinyl Touch says, can you use the DVS on the Cross 12 without the clamp? No. Well, let me put it like this. The clamp needs to be placed on top for the platter to accurately translate the movement to the software. If you don't put the clamp on and you're moving your hand across that slip mat, you're not actually moving the platter itself enough. Maybe if I would take the slip mat off and just put my hand on the actual platter and move that, I could get more accurate. But I could tell I tried, like I didn't put the clamp on and just moved the slip mat, and I could see that the song basically continued to play and it was just held back a little bit. That's because when I'm doing that, I'm moving the slip mat back and forth, not the actual platter. To move the platter back and forth, that platter has to be held in place. Once you place that clamp on top, now when I move, the slip mat is not moving independently from the platter. The entire platter is moving. So that's what the clamp is for. But in no way is the clamp like transmitting anything or doing anything like that. So the question that DJ Six asked me on YouTube and asked it here again. Let's go back up. Because your question, Six, was basically that why is Pioneer still releasing new gear when it's obvious that they, and I don't think they're the only one, probably most of the tech companies, not just in the DJ space, but overall, are having issues getting the gear to us, all stemming from that chip shortage and material shortage from basically the pandemic time. And I see it here as well. So like someone ordered the Cross 12. It's going to take months before they get it. I've seen people talk about that they ordered the Rev 7 months ago, ordered mixers months ago. So why, when a company is having a hard time getting the stuff out, are they still releasing new stuff? I don't have a clear answer for that because I have no idea how things work in companies like that. But what I can imagine is I don't believe that you can hold back. Like things like this are probably planned out years in ahead, right? Like we're going to launch these devices in the coming time. I don't think it's going to make much sense for them to just press pause on a device that they're already planning to release. And maybe in the meantime, you have a ton of new innovations and then the device is obsolete when they spend all that R&D making it. So it's better for them to bring it out. I'm just going off the top because I have no idea, like I said, how businesses like that work. But I can understand that innovation continues. Even if the materials are not there for mass release, they are there. Now, to a degree, I could also imagine, and this is not speaking for Pioneer, but just overall for all brands, that a shortage, to a degree, can kind of help the hype as well. Because especially when something is released and people want it and it's hard to get, then it gets a little bit more hyped up. But man, I don't know beyond that. So great question. And I do know I will be asking Pioneer this question. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to actually relate the answer to you, because sometimes I do talk to some brands and sometimes people do tell you stuff that you can't share with the public. But in this case, I can't say I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Albert from Ghana in the building. Shout out to you. Salute. Hey, Earl Whiff. My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm actually following more people because I also realize that it's important for me to actually see what a lot of y'all are doing, because it's going to broaden my perspective about people's thought process. Because I'm a DJ, I have my perspective, but I can clearly see that that's different for everyone depending on how you came up, what your experience is, what you do. So I'm trying to follow more people, and I want to see more streams as well, also to just broaden my perspective. So I'm doing that on Twitch. I'm doing that more on IG. Now on IG, I do take a look in advance to see, okay, is there any content being dropped that would be interesting? So there's a lot of DJs who follow me, but when I check their profile, they only post pictures of them on vacation, and that's cool, but that's not going to add any value to me to see what you are doing on holiday. Or certain DJs that only post photos of their gigs. I'm more interested in when I can actually see some video material. So with a lot of DJs, when I click on their profile and I see that I can see some of the gig footage, some of their practice footage or routine footage, that's dope. I want to see more of that. Same thing with like wedding DJs. I followed a couple more cats now that post when they're doing like their wedding gigs, because I don't do those gigs. It's good to see more of that to just, broaden your perspective and gain more knowledge. And then on top of that, for some of y'all who've been supporting me for like a long, long time, it just feels dope to just give that shout back and hit you guys up with that follow. Now, speaking about support, I'm going to plug this right now real quick for the people who haven't checked it out yet. DJ TLM TV is my new membership website. And the reason I launched that is for people to have a way to support me the best way. Even though I love people who like subscribe to me on Twitch, sites like Twitch take up like the bulk of the money. So they take like 70%. So if you subscribe to me on Twitch and you pay like I think like $3.99, they take like 70% straight off the top. On my membership site, my lowest tier is that same price, $4, but then it actually goes to me. On DJTLMTV.com, I also have my merch, ton of merch you can check out. And for the members in different tiers, I'm going to be adding a lot of extras as well, like early releases of videos, exclusive beats. I'm working on all sorts of perks that I'm adding to that. So whenever you have time and you feel like you want to support DJ TLM TV to allow me to make more content, make sure you check out DJTLMTV.com. Now that we get that out the way, let's see, because there were some more questions. And Six also said, I'm surprised Pioneer hasn't dropped a new mixer similar to the S11 that has the built-in stems feature. And I'm pretty sure that whatever type of S mixer is coming next, I would have to assume they're going to build in some sort of stem feature, even though you have to check out like with the real estate on a mixer, how much space you have. Is there space for more buttons? Because we do want to keep the bottom part of that mixer as clean as possible, because that is just for our hands and that crossfader. Because there's room there for more buttons, but then you kind of take away the scratch mixer element of it. But I can imagine that with the next mixer, they're probably going to have some buttons dedicated for stems. So right now I'm using the saved loop part of the performance pads because I never use that. So when I switch to saved loops, those 4 performance pads now are my 4 stems buttons. That's how I have solved it. That's how I do it on the Rev 7, on the S7 as well. All right. Let me take a quick peek up here again. And for the people that are new to this Q&A, if I missed your question and it's been like 10, 15 minutes, feel free to just drop that question again because sometimes I might miss the question. And Patrick C says the Cross 12 looks so accurate with Serato when juggling or heavy scratching. Does it stay locked on the cue points? So that's the only thing I couldn't properly test because I only had one player here. And I'm going to make sure to find out if there's an option for me to have two. But I've been explaining this to some of my people, especially on the other side of the pond in the U.S., and more people have been telling me like, hey, man, Pioneer should just give you a set. Now, I would love that, but that is, on the one hand, the downside of living in a very small country as I do. I mean, the Netherlands is very small. Now, I have a very good relationship with Pioneer, and I've had that relationship for over 20 years now. But within those brands, everything is very segmented. So, for instance, I can't go to Pioneer US, which, of course, is way bigger, probably has a way bigger budget, and just say, like, hey, can you send me some stuff? Now, first off, I wouldn't do that because I have my Connect here. We have a great relationship, like I said. But they're also not allowed to do that because, no, they do the US, they can't do Europe. Within Europe, it's also segmented. So you're dealing with basically your local rep. And in every country, they're going to have a budget. How much budget is there? Is there a budget to all of a sudden just give away a couple of Cross 12s? Here, that's probably going to be more difficult compared to other countries, bigger countries with bigger budgets. So I'm blessed that I'm in a position that I have my relationship so I can always get my hands on the gear. But a lot of times that gear will have to go back because a lot of times it might be the only unit that's here right now. And the Pioneer rep has to use that unit to answer questions to all the vendors that they serve, like all the stores that sell the Pioneer gear. He might get calls like, hey, how does this work? So he needs to have devices in his own vicinity as well. But I did not get a chance to do like juggling because I only had one unit here. But when it comes to that Cross 12 accuracy, it felt so freaking good. It felt so freaking good. And the reason I was using it with just the slip mat half of the time wasn't some sort of gimmick like I wanted to do something special or different, but it's the fact that once you put that clamp on and it locks the platter, you're moving the platter. It's not about what's on top of the platter. You're moving the platter. So I didn't need vinyl to add on top of that to make the platter move that way. And I'm not going to say it feels better this way because my hands are used to vinyl. But the accuracy I was able to get just with my hands on that slip mat moving the platter, it felt super tight. And I'm willing to say it's going to be a little bit tighter than phase because phase has to send the signal digitally. Over cable should always be a little bit faster, even though it's going to be marginally. It's going to be a very small difference. But it might also be that mental effect that because you know that it's more direct, that you feel that it's more direct. I'm not sure. I just know, and that's what I said in my intro, when you have certain motorized controllers, they are emulating that turntable feel. In this case, they're not emulating because it is a real turntable. It has a lot of torque. The motor is strong, and it felt really good. So, yes, I really want to find out how that's going to work when you have two. I did not experience any type of cue drift, and it felt to me like that was basically almost impossible to happen with this device. Then again, it's a first look video. I can only truly speak on that once I have a set and I actually play full sets with it. But man, it felt good. Man, it felt good. It felt so freaking good. Only had a day, then it had to go back, and I miss it already. Quick question, Arcade had a question. How long did it take you to master the scribble scratch? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I used to just DJ and scratch all day. And I never really like timed like how long it took for me to learn how to do the baby scratch, how to do a transform, stabs, cuts, you name it. I just did it, and at a certain point, you figure out a new technique, and then you get better at it. On top of that, I had hardly any knowledge when it came to names because I didn't have a mentor, tutor, lessons, none of that. I was just emulating what I heard. only later on I discovered with certain scratches that I was already doing, like, oh, okay, this is called this is called that. I knew the transformer scratch, but that was basically one of the only names that I knew because you heard that name being mentioned on records a bunch of times. So I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know when I learned how to do that one, and I don't know how long it took me to do that. And Larry K wants to know, how often should I update my music library? That is very hard for me to answer. It depends how organized your music library is now, and more importantly, how well is it working for you? That's the thing. Don't ever feel you need to update or upgrade if something is working. You know, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Now, of course, you might want to update with newer music when that comes out. But if you have a good system in place, that shouldn't be that hard to do. I'm terrible. I can admit it, and I've said that before. I'm terrible when it comes to my folder management, music management, and that is something hopefully one day, someday, I'll be able to fix. And I end up in situations all the times where I tell myself I'm going to do a proper prep and I'm going to have actual good folders, and then I do a gig and I end up still having to look through several folders and find music. Even on Saturday, I was part of something that was very cool. Shout out to the Mix Chemist. And that was the Turntable Avengers Raid Train, where I don't know how many DJs, I think it was like 10 DJs. The whole thing took like 12 hours or something. I was Venom, and we all did like hour and a half sets. And I told myself in advance, even though I hardly had any time, I came back from holiday like the day before with no sleep again. And I started to look for tracks to play. I think I made it to 8 tracks. And I ended up just during the stream, after those 8 tracks that I didn't even have a plan for, I just had them in a folder. I ended up going through all sorts of folders. And I always make it work. But at a certain point, I would want to have a well-organized, well-oiled music library management system. Still working on it. So if, for me personally, I should be updating because my system is broken. If your music library and the way you've sorted it out is working for you, you probably don't need to update. And there's a ton of DJs out there all doing this in their own way. So there's not like one way to do it. I've seen people who have 80 folders because they have folders and subfolders. They go genre, they go subgenre. Within every subgenre, they have every year in a separate folder. Then within years, they have separate folders. For me, it's going to be the other way around. And I always say this, but I still have to work on that. For me, tagging is going to be the most important thing. I want to have as much data, metadata, in every song as possible, which will allow me to easily make crates on the fly using the smart crates or Rekordbox intelligent playlists. So if your songs have all of the data, so not just the BPM and the key and the title artist, but also genre, maybe even a subgenre label, and extra labels like an energy rating, like maybe color coding. And that can be different for everyone what the colors mean. But if you have a specific meaning for that, then you know what that means. And if you're in a certain vibe and that vibe happens to be yellow, you know that you can make a smart crate and look for all your yellow tracks within a certain BPM range. Bang, you're good to go. Energy, color. In Rekordbox, you have their filter system, and they have a great way of having extra names for tags. That could be something like lounge or warm up or whatever you name it. All those type of tags can help you out to have maybe one music library with all sorts of music in there, but on the fly, you can within seconds just make a new intelligent playlist, add some rules like I need music from this genre, that vibe, that energy, bang, and then you're good to go. So tagging is something I still need to do way more. DJ Lou Diamond, salute to you. Salute. And Marianne, I saw you already, right? Yes, did I? I think I did. I'm going to shout you out again. Hoi, Marianne. DJ Dell, and I'm still in love with my DDJ 1000 SRT. Hey, and that's still a dope controller. I remember when the 1000 came out, the record box version. I love that, and I titled that one my favorite controller at the time, non-motorized controller. Love it. The SRT came out, which is basically the same, pretty close to it. And of course, now the Flex 10 is the new DDJ 1000. Similarities are there, but newer features have been added. I mean, if I had to pick now, the Flex 10 would probably be a better option compared to a 1000 because I love using the stems. And on your SRT, you could MIDI map to also have your performance pads work for stems. That's going to work. The Flex 10 just offers a couple of extra things, like to be able to add an effect to one specific stem is something that was super dope to see. Like I could just add an echo or reverb to a vocal within a song. I mean, it's crazy where tech has gone in the last couple of years, the things we're able to do. Whenever we're on tour, when I'm on tour with Brain Power, and our last tour was like a couple of months ago, whenever we get to all of the venues and you have like their local tech staff and you're setting up your gear, they always come to peep what you have. And then for a lot of them, DVS is still something they haven't heard of. Like if they're normally used to seeing like some house DJs who play on CDJs here in the Netherlands, and now you're coming in and you're using DVS, they're already like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Timecode. Then when they've heard of timecode and you tell them like, well, actually, I'm not using my timecode anymore. I have these little devices called Phase and I'm doing it wirelessly. You blow their mind. And then you tell them like, oh, yeah. And of course, now I can just press this button right here. And now I have an acapella. And they're like, what is going on? That's happening real time in our computer. I mean, for the older ones among us who started out on just turntables with vinyl, it's crazy to see what we're able to do now. I can understand if you're just starting out and you're just young, new in the game, and it feels perfectly normal for you to be able to just grab your phone, connect it to a controller, and start DJing. That is crazy if you come where we come from. And I love it. I love all of those developments. And I'm having a ton of fun, especially with the stems during my streams. On that subject, it's Monday now. Make sure you tune in on Thursday. That's going to be a different time for my people here in Europe because that's going to be in the morning. For my East Coast people, that's going to be in the middle of the night. For my West Coast people, that's going to be around midnight. I'm starting my new live stream, my Certified Bangers Weekly live stream. I'm picking that totally different time because I want to see what can work better. Because our time zone is just way different from the U.S. and I have a lot of people in the U.S. who like to tune in and watch. So I want to experiment with that. So that show is going to be totally different time. The name Certified Bangers kind of says what it is. It's going to be a lot of energy in there. And on Friday, so the day after that, August 11th, and I know people have been going about this for the whole year now. Hip Hop's 50th birthday. So Hip Hop 50 on August 11th. But August 11th just happens to be my birthday as well. Not born in 1973, but August 11th is my birthday. So I'll be going live Friday, August 11th. I'm going to do a 6-hour all vinyl set to celebrate myself and hip hop. So during that day, make sure you tune in and show some love, and we'll have some fun here. So that's going to be, because I was talking about the tech, that's going to be taking it back to the basics. Just my turntables, a mixer, needles, vinyl. Now, of course, I'll have some effects on the mixer, but that's it. And my music library when it comes to vinyl is also not organized, so that's going to be some fun going through all that. I'm not going to make a selection. I'm just going into that wall during the day and pick out some stuff. So that's going to be fun. So make sure you tune in for all of that. Rodney says, I've used an iRig connected to my iPhone and the DJM 900 for the past 2 years to record videos for my IG and switched to the A9. The sound of my videos recorded with the A9 is terrible, and the iRig might not be compatible with the A9. Is there an iRig that you recommend to record videos with your phone which works with all mixers and gears. Okay. Couldn't it be that there may be, because I don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the A9. I've only played with that once. We were doing a gig, and that was the mixer they had. So I'd never seen it in person before, but it kind of looks similar to a 900, so I found my way around it. Could it be that there's some internal setting that needs to be changed in order for that to work? Because I have no clue. I mean, if it's working on the 900, so your iRig is connected. I assume you're connected to the RCA output on the 900, right? Something like that. And you did the same thing with the A9. So it sounds weird that it sounds terrible. Like your iRig should be compatible with any mixer, because you're just taking an audio cable from an output from a mixer and connecting it to the iRig, right? So that should work with all mixers. Now, I don't have an iRig and I don't have an A9. So it's very hard for me to comment on that. My first thought is there has to be just something with the setting that is off somehow. That should be changed. So anyone in the chat, if you have experience with the iRig and an A9, please let us know. In the long run, do you think standalone is the future? So standalone full on turntable media players. It seems like as processing power and updatability in players becomes more powerful, the laptop will become increasingly obsolete. I'm not sure. I know for a fact that I still prefer the size of that laptop screen, especially when I'm playing freestyle with that horrible music management of mine. That bigger real estate helps me out. Like, I love the feel of the CDJ 3000. And if you've properly prepared your music and record box and you show up with your flash drive and you pop that in your CDJ 3000, it works really well. Like the processing power is there. It's fast. That screen is nice. If everything is properly tagged, you can easily go through your music and make it work. When you're playing freestyle like myself and the music isn't all the way prepared, that screen is still pretty small. So I still prefer a larger screen. Now, I had a ton of fun playing with something like an XDJ RX2 and especially the RX3. That nice, I think, 10-inch screen in the middle. Standalone definitely has its pros because, yes, I've done a couple of gigs with that as well. And just showing up with a device, putting that on a table, connecting the power, audio output, putting in your flash drive, and being good to go, that's great. It is. So, yes, I have to assume at a certain point we're going to see, for instance, something that has standalone capability and also a nice size motorized jog. Maybe we're going to see that happen. I just don't know. I don't know how these brands do their research and what their threshold is for how many people, how many potential buyers they need in order to make certain tech decisions. I don't know. Because let's be honest, there's always a couple of people that will say, for instance, when a new device is dropped, same thing with the Cross 12, drop the video, there's always going to be one or two people in the comments like, does it work with Tractor? No, it doesn't. Maybe it will in the future. Most likely not. Why is Tractor not? Is it not working with Tractor? I mean, there's not a lot of people using it, so probably it's not high on the priority list. Now, with something like standalone capability, because I've seen that with the Cross 12 as well. Like, Cross 12 looks great, would be even better if it had like standalone capability. Yeah, I can see that, but then again, just imagine if you have the Cross 12, but you want to treat it like a CDJ. So you want it to have its own, be its own media player so you can plug in your flash drive. Now you're going to have to put a screen on it. That's going to increase the size. Like a full-size turntable, you're now going to have to put a nice-size screen on top of that as well. I think it would be dope. I just don't know how big the market is going to be. How expensive is that device going to be? Man. So I don't know. And the follow-up to that question is, could that be why Serato was sold? They saw the writing on the wall. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think so. Yeah, that's I'm just not sure. I don't know how the state of their business was, so how well the business was doing, being Serato, because what do they sell? They basically sell software. That's all they sell, right? So is enough software being sold that they can make enough money? I don't know. So I'm not sure. NLH is in the building. Salute to you. DJ Hawk, what up? What do you think about using Twitch or YouTube to DJ stream? I wanted to say that's what I do, but I don't use YouTube for my DJ streams. Twitch is the way to go. So when I'm doing my DJ streams, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, X, and I'm on Kick now as well. Mixcloud and Kick. Twitch is the number one because they have the community and the following, but I can only live stream. After that live stream, I can't use the replay because everything is muted. You get hit with strikes, you name it. So you have no replay option, but you can go live and it works really well for your live streams. Mixcloud is the only totally legal option. They only have audio replay though. But they don't have the community. I just don't see any growth on Mixcloud since I started using it. Twitter, no growth, no interaction whatsoever. The replays can't stay on because somehow it's just still under the radar. No one checks the live streams on Twitter, on X. So I just have it on. I use Restream to send to multiple locations. So, hey, it's just one click to have it go to Twitter as well. So I just do that. But Twitch would be the main one. Now for this, what I'm doing right here, if it's like a podcast, educational stream, I'm not playing music, there's no copyright strikes happening, YouTube is still my number one place because that's where I have the largest platform. But it's going to be YouTube and Twitch. But I'm also sending this one again to Facebook, LinkedIn, basically all of the platforms. So DJ Z, I see you on Facebook. Salute to you. Let's see. Six says, I've been following you since way back when you posted that video of you DJing that corporate gig 7-8 years ago. Don't remember which one that was. Yeah, I mean, I've been on YouTube since 2008 or something like that. That's my first channel. I started DJ TLM TV on YouTube in 2011, I think. So that's been quite a long time indeed. I think if you're a DJ with turntables, all you need is phase for home use and then the DDJ 1000 SRT or Rev 5 for gigs because it's easy to carry around. Yeah, the 1000 SRT and Rev 5 might be a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter than a Rev 7, but for me, if the home setup was turntables with phase, the perfect road setup would be the Rev 7, and that's actually what I carry. I bought a specific travel bag for it. I bought a Magma Bags bag. Because at first I didn't want to bring the Rev 7 to too many places. I had it like in a large box. That is not really going to work for me. But now I have an actual bag. This is the new thing for the people in the stream yesterday. That's my son again. Not that familiar with the new schedule either. And while I'm talking to you guys, I have to quickly make sure I check this. So. Call your mother. That's the only answer I need to send. All right. But yeah, the bag. It's not here. I'll do a video about that soon as well. But that changed it for me because I have certain gigs where I just know they're not gonna be turntables there. I want to play in an optimal setting. So I don't want to play on a CDJ 2000 set. Even though I can play on it, I can't do on it what I can do on a Rev 7. I'll bring that bag. It has a nice shoulder strap. It secures the controller so I can have it in the back of the car. Love it. Black and DNA says you can also MIDI map the slots on the Rev 7 for stems. Yeah, like I said, that's what I did. I have that on the Rev 7 and the S7. I used on the performance pads the saved loop feature because I never used that. So when I switched to that, then the performance pads trigger my stems. So yeah. That works well for me. Arcade, another quick question. Oh no, that's the scribble scratch. We already had that one. My bad. Then we have Scratch Angel live from Cameroon. Salute to you on Facebook. Watch the review you made of the Pioneer Rev 5. Didn't get how much it cost. You're the second one who commented on that. I didn't say it, but in the edit, I did have a little text on screen in the last minute. At that time, I did not have the info. And the week before, in my Cross 12 video, I think I said $12.99, and then it turned out to be $13.99 because I got the info wrong. So in this case, I didn't have the info. So in that video, on the text, it says, my guess is it's going to be between $9.99 and $12.99. And it turns out that it's $10.99. So $1,100 for the Rev 5. And Emily Lee says, I personally update monthly and have a very strict budget. Right? And Mixcloud says, music library is a forever job. The time you spend on your library, your results should show at playtime. 100% agree. And like, I know most of you probably don't notice it or at least enjoy my performances. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking this could have been even doper if I took the time to properly like go through all my music, because even now I love to play freestyle. I want to continue to play that way, but you can enhance the performance if you play freestyle, but you go into your folders and everything is organized in a way that is very easy for you to find stuff. So when you're playing freestyle and you have whatever type of idea or you're in a certain flow, it becomes very easy to find songs that will work within that flow. And for me now, still, that sometimes is a little bit of a task, and you spend more time scrolling than you would like to. So yeah, the more of that prep you can do in advance, and preparation, again, does not mean you're preparing your set. Nothing wrong with that, but I just don't play that way. It's not about preparing your set, but about preparing your files, your music library, because everything you do there can enhance. I am still live on the spot setting cue points and loops. That shouldn't be the case. I should have all that figured out, set up. But then again, if you have a lot of music, you need to find time to do that. DJ Betos with that follow. I see you. Salute. I appreciate that. And do you think controller scratches like the 1000 SRT sound the same as turntable scratches if you're doing the same type of scratch on both? Well, Ken, it depends. If you're using a controller or if you're using turntables DVS style, so if you're using your turntables to control DJ software or you're using a controller, I don't think you're going to hear that much of a difference. What I do hear sometimes from people in comments is when they see me do something with a controller or with turntables that control DJ software, is that they'll say like, hey, I can still hear that it's digital. So if you're using actual analog vinyl, possibly your sound is going to be a little bit different compared to when you're using turntables to control your DJ software. And my reply to that is, I'm pretty sure you can hear that. I personally don't really hear it anymore because I don't pay attention to it. So is it there a difference? Pretty sure there can be, but that's the same thing, especially when we first started to have like other ways of DJing, like for instance with CDs compared to vinyl, that you would have people say like vinyl just has that warmer sound, that more analog sound. Are they right? Yes, they are. Is it going to matter when you're playing in a club? I have to say no. I have to say no. And nowadays, especially with all the DJs that play on CDJs and play with DJ software, how many people are still actually using analog sound when they're DJing? Less and less. So yeah, there could be a little difference. I personally don't mind. the people who do mind, yeah, then they have to look for just the all vinyl digital all vinyl DJs out there, analog DJs out there. To me, I don't care about that enough. That's the beauty of Turntable Avengers. You play what you feel. Yeah, no doubt, 100%. I did make sure that I tuned in to hear the 2 sets before me, just because I don't want to play the same songs that were just played. And I did not have a chance to see and hear all the DJs after me. I tuned in a couple of times, and it was cool to see that basically I think every DJ that was in there had a totally different style of playing. So that actually makes the stream more interesting. I can't imagine for certain people that might not be as appealing because they only like a certain style. So they would probably prefer to hear 6 DJs in a row who play the same style. And that could be cool too. But on the other hand, if you want to experience like more different styles, learn maybe about new styles, this was a dope raid to check out for sure. Oh, I have to watch my time as well. I'm actually already over the time, guys, because it's a 1 hour. I have to start implementing a timer that I have on screen. That's also something I changed a couple weeks ago. The Q&As used to be like 2 hours, sometimes even longer. I'm going to be here every Monday, but the Q&A is basically an hour. And very soon I will be starting a second members-only Q&A on DJ TLM TV. But I decided to do more separate streams, only shorter. So the mixed streams are also not 2 hours anymore. They're 75 minutes. But I'm not just doing a Sunday. It's going to be Thursday, Sunday, and there's going to be another stream added to that soon as well. But I'm taking it one step at a time. So for now, it's going to be Monday, Thursday, Sunday, with the occasional extra stream. Going to plug it one more time. This Friday, August 11th, celebrating my birthday and hip hop's 50th birthday. So I'll be going live for 6 hours with an all vinyl hip hop set. Friday, August 11th. I forgot how late I'm starting. I think I'm starting 4 in the afternoon Amsterdam time. Just check my IG and make sure you drop in during those 6 hours just to say hi, show some love, have some fun. I'm going to grab whatever I can find here in that wall behind me. And you know, I have plenty of stuff here. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Now, I should end, but I'm going to scroll and make sure I answer everything before we leave. I hate the orange songs, meaning we've moved the file since last playing, but the feature that corrects, folder management, Teddy Stream, I feel you. Been there. I've been there. Mixchemist says, do you use iTunes still? No, and I never have. I know a ton of DJs who used to use iTunes for their music management, and somehow I never got into that. I think because before that, I wasn't really using iTunes for anything. The only thing I used it for was to sync music to my iPod. Yes, iPod, taking it back. I still have it. I still have a video iPod that still works. But no, I never used it with the DJ software. And the Flex 10 with the Rain 12 Mark II is an awesome setup. Hawk. That's okay. That's a big setup though, yo. So you have the Flex 10 and then you have 2 Rain 12 Mark IIs. That's a big setup. I remember when I did, and this is like 10 years ago, when I did the review for the SZ when that first came out. Remember that? The Pioneer, the SZ, the big joint with the capacitive touch jog wheels. And I set it up with 2 turntables next to it. That was like a full table. And I can imagine like a Flex 10 with 2 Rain 12s. It's going to be pretty large setup as well. Let's see. King Complex says, the DJ gods had a miracle for me. I ordered the Rev 7 and they sent the black and gold edition, which is my favorite color scheme. Wow. So you ordered the regular, but you got that one? That's dope. That's dope. And did it take a long time for it to get there? And in the meantime, Hideheart says, in terms of playing in clubs, would you agree with the statement that an SB3 paired with the Yamaha MG06X would sound the same as the DDJ SX, SR2, 1000, Flex 10, etc.? To be perfectly clear, I'm not familiar with that Yamaha. So I'm not sure what that is. Is that like an amp that you place in between the SB3 and speakers? I'm not sure. Would that then sound the same? So that's going to be impossible for me to answer. The only thing I can tell you, and that's not specifically about the SB3, but you're always going to have your chain. So if we start at the first source, so let's say the music is coming from, in this case, your SB3. The output from that is going to have a certain quality. Now, can you enhance that quality by going through, let's say, a certain type of amp? Possibly you can enhance it, but is that going to give you the same sound quality compared to a device that's going to have much higher quality coming straight out the device? Most likely not. So you're never going to be as good as something that has much better audio quality. Now, in a club setting, are people going to notice a difference? I'm not sure, man. I mean, the threshold for what sounds good has gone down the drain a bit, I think, with people so used to listening to music on their phone, not really knowing about dynamics anymore, listening to a lot of music that's all mastered to hell. When you see the wave file, it's just one big block. So whenever anything is loud, it sounds good to them. I don't know. So, but that's like one thing. Just imagine you can go and get Tidal and get their hi-fi subscription, their high fidelity subscription, which gives you the highest quality, higher compared to a normal streaming service. But if that is coming from my phone and going to a Bluetooth speaker, it's not going to sound as good as normal Tidal on my computer going from my interface to these bad boys. You know, so it all depends on how you listen to it. But again, I don't know what the Yamaha is you're talking about, so it's impossible for me to say. Damien Chicago says, love the technology process for our DJ community. I started in the 80s to present, always flexible to adjust to the new technology. Yeah, I love it too, 100%. And I do think that for us, and I didn't start in the 80s, I started in the 90s, but for us, we will appreciate it more. Now, you have those couple of sour grapes from our generations who think every innovation is terrible and takes away from the art and blah, blah, blah. I just don't have any time for that discussion anymore. For me personally, all those innovations are like dope. The fact that I don't have to carry my crates around anymore because I can use DVS. The fact that I can take phase and go to a club, and even if their tone arm or wiring is messed up on the turntables, I'm going to have my signal so I can play. I love all of that. But yeah, for some, they don't see it that way. But it's great. And you can always find the stuff that works for you. You don't have to always go with the time and use every new technological development. But just being aware of the options and seeing if there's something in there that can help you to enhance your game, I think is a great thing. Rodney, both connected to the Master 2. Yeah, then I would have to assume in the A9 there may be a setting. So maybe there's a way to go into like a utility menu on that and see if there's something with the routing that needs to be changed. Because it sounds really, really weird to me that should be an issue. You should be able to get good audio from that. The Ruckus says, I can't tell you now, but if we revisit, I have an A9 and iRig, I can let you know. Hey, if you're here next week, holla. Or in the meantime, you can also just leave a comment under the replay of this live stream so I can see that as well. So if you get a chance to check that out, that would be really dope. All right. We're almost there. And Vinyl Touch says, I was blown away by Denon's screen setup, even when playing open format as searching for songs on the SC6000M. I honestly don't really remember the screen setup, and I don't have it here. Well, I didn't have that. I had the 5000 here, but I don't have it here anymore. Damien Chicago, who dropped the iRig question. You're on Twitch, and that was where is it? Let me scroll back up for a second. That was Rodney on Facebook. And Lou Diamonds, is the Cross 12 MIDI map capable for virtual DJ? I don't know, but as far as I can tell, like normally when new gear comes out, like the same day there's already a MIDI map for virtual DJ. I do know with the motorized stuff, it's sometimes a little bit different. So I don't know if it's there yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they figure that out. And Teddy Stream is coming in from London. We were there last week. So we were there, right there in London. Had a blast being there for a week, checking that town out. Only been there once before, but that was just for one day to do something at MTV. So now I finally had a chance to check out the city. So that was dope. But no gig though, just there as a holiday with the fam. So that was cool. Okay, I'm going to quickly scroll through because we're way over time already. Milton T in the building, salute. And great, I see the chat. I see y'all helping each other out with that iRig question. That's dope. Original DJ Breeze, salute, salute. Funk Juice, I appreciate that. And Reactor, I see you. All good over here. And Rock City, New York, born and raised in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So I've been living here for close to 48 years. And on Friday, it's going to be 48 years because I'm celebrating my birthday. So make sure you tune in on Twitch, Mixcloud, X, and Kick. But born and raised in Amsterdam. So this is my home, and I'm not going anywhere. DJ Larry, great work on a regular. Yes. Cleveland Terry in the building. Yes, sir. What's going on, bro? I talked about that in my video. Controller with turntables is too much for me. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge setup indeed, bro. I mean, like I said, I did that with the SZ, and it reminded me of one gig that I did back in the days where I came into this venue and they had like this built-in setup. Remember, clubs don't do it that much now, but back in the days here at least, a lot of clubs would have everything like built into a booth. So the mixer was built in with wood around it, and then you had turntables. But with this particular setup in this venue, I got there, they had the mixer in the middle, one of those big old, and they used them here in the Netherlands. I don't know if they use these in the US. We had these big Datek mixers, huge club mixers. They were basically unbreakable. That's why all the clubs had them. You could like pour a drink in and it would still work. Some had a crossfader, a small crossfader. Some didn't. And this mixer was in the middle, and they had one turntable, which was like all the way over there, and the other one all the way over there. And I had to like, I wish I had roller skates for that gig because I had to like slide back and forth from one deck to the other. And that's how an SZ with two turntables felt to me. That's going to be the same with a Flex 10 and two Rain 12s. That's a lot of real estate. You need a large table, but beyond that, workflow wise, I want to have stuff be just a little bit more compact than that. And yes, I will be checking out, still need to check out Cleveland Terry's video about the Rev 5. I checked a portion of Mojax's video. In my first look video, I even sent people to Mojax. Like I told y'all, like I didn't have time to test this, that, and that. Check out Mojax. I'm pretty sure he has checked everything. But I need to check CT's video as well. Cleveland Terry says it would not sound the same. Rev 7 and Flex 10 have better audio cards. What you're describing is taking a small JPEG, resizing it. Yeah, like I said, that's why that chain is important. If the start of that chain, the base of that chain has a certain quality, you're not going to be able to bring that to a same level as something that just has way better audio quality. Indeed. Cryptomatic, salute. Kamau, I see you. Yeah, Rock City. I do get that more often. I guess it's the accent, but no, I've been to New York a couple times, but that's a long time ago already, man. Getting close to like 20 years ago now. Damn, time flies when you just think about stuff like that. All right. Yes, we've answered all the questions. We went 20 minutes over time, but it's worth it. This is fun for me, and I have to actually, like, honestly, I have to watch myself because, like I said, I want to do more streams, but I have to restrict my time. It is hard for me to watch my time when it comes to this because this is one of the fun parts about this whole thing. I love talking about music, about DJing, and this takes me back to, like, even after gigs, you would stand outside of the venue with DJs and stand there for a couple more hours to talk DJing and music. This is part of the fun. So if you enjoyed this, if this was your first time here, make sure you tune in next Monday. Cleveland Terry, I think Cleveland Terry is on Thursday with Thursday Tech. Tomorrow you have Mixmaster G with his AMA, and I think on Wednesday and Friday you have Tweak Music Tips. So there's plenty of stuff around in that whole live stream sphere. So thank y'all for tuning in, and if you want to check my entire schedule, check that out as well on DJTLM.com. For the membership and the merch, check out DJTLMTV.com. Follow me on IG. And once again, I appreciate all of you. I wish I could shout all of you out, but that would take another 5 minutes, and we have to stop this stream. Cleveland Terry is live streaming tomorrow at DJ Expo, so we have to make sure drop the time real quick, or is that an all-day thing? So I'm going to wait. I won't end the stream before Cleveland Terry adds that time, and after that, we're done. And hopefully I'll see y'all on Thursday or on my birthday on Friday. But we're going to wait for Cleveland Terry to drop that info. There we go. All right. Probably around 11, and that's the Eastern Standard Time. So that makes that PM. Okay. Oh, AM. Okay, got you. That would be around 5 in the afternoon here in Amsterdam. 5. What am I doing tomorrow? I'm gonna see if I can tune in for that. All right. Salute to all of you out there. Much love, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.